Today we're going to be working on something a little bit different. I always like bringing stuff to the channel and getting people to bring me stuff to the channel, and it's a little bit different. It's this case here. It says Monoprice is the case. It says on the front here, Marshall cv345. When we open it up, there's a little camera. It's kind of dinky and cute. So this is a Marshall camera. They use it for production in a school setting. They brought all the power cords and whatnot I need to do any testing, but we won't deal with that today. What I'm going to be doing today is looking at the part and see what I need. See what I can do to find it and order the part. There's 2 screws here on the bottom, which I probably won't take off that just yet, and 2 on the top. I might only just take the 2 here on this side closest to this plate. It says Iris right here. Now keep in mind, I know nothing about this camera. I'm just here to fix the electronics. And it's generally how a lot of things that come to me, how it happened. I don't know anything about the electronics. I'm just here to fix it. There's one single pin inside of this connector that's missing. You can see that it's flushed. It's got sheared off. And I'm going to see if I can find that part. And it would be, let's see how many pins is here. There's one that's bent over as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 pins in that. I'm going to take the Iris connector, remove him. The screw is fairly loose. It's not really tight. It's a directional, I guess. I'm not sure what that does. Again, I'm not a camera guy. I'm just a guy that fixes things. Oh, the whole thing just comes right out. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit different. Inside, we have 3 wire harnesses and another board. So it is a soldered connection. That's what I wanted to verify. It is a soldered connection. So we will have to look for that connector online before I mess with anything else. Seems like it'd be fairly straightforward, just popping this off. That might have a latch that you have to take and either flip up or squeeze, or it slides out. And then I guess this is what you would call a Wi-Fi connector. I'm not sure exactly what this connector is here. And then this whole housing board here would have 4 screws to take off, and then this all drops out. Okay. We'll take a look at that in a few. I'll have to come back to this in about a week. The part will come in. With shipping, it was $26 and change. So we're going to put this back together and deal with it in a week. There's not a lot of information about it. I just kind of stumbled across it. If it's not this one, it's another one. The connector that I got was this one, HR1578ND. So the manufacturer number is HR10-10R-12PA. I think I should have got 12SA. And that would have been the PCB mount, and this one is, they call it a panel mount, whatever that means. We'll find out here in a second. So, with shipping, I think it was like $25. It's like $16 for the part itself. If it's the other connector, I think it's like $20 from Key. It's not cheap by any means. Just for one single connector. I might actually got the right one. I might got lucky. Wow. It looks it, doesn't it? Huh. Well, that made my day. We'll take and we'll compare. Got some notches and stuff that I'm not sure that they're the same. I do want to make sure the socket will fit for the plug. So that's going to be the most important part. This thing rotates, but the rest of it doesn't. Okay, looks like it'll fit. Sweet. So, yeah, if you're going to fix your camera here, that's the right part. I'm really shocked. Awesome. So, we're going to take this board off here and get into it and get to this. This is where the part you need to have a soldering iron, some solder, and I always forget to order it, and never fail. Whenever I'm ordering part, I never get myself any solder wick or solder braid. I always forget that, stupidly. So, I mean, I can still work with just the toothpick, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging since this is a smaller hole. So if you have the solder braid or solder wick, that would be the route I would go. Because they're teeny tiny. So, also have to keep in mind the orientation of this. I just now noticed that this connector is a lot taller than what I have here. And maybe not. It might just be because this has a nut on it and the other one doesn't. Now that looks about the same. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is line up the pins. Strangely, that they don't have like pin 1 or pin 2 or anything just marked at all. So, yeah, let's take it back apart. Now we have these wires, and we might want to take some of these wires off just to make it easier to work on. These just pull right off. Should. Doesn't think it has a tab, but it might. Well, maybe it had a tab. Well, that's not going to affect anything, but no longer there. Can't believe it's that brittle. Okay, so next will be this little guy here. And I think all we need to do is take and just get a very, very small pair of tweezers or something. And you just do like that. That should be that. And then this, I don't know if it just rotates off or if you have to pull it off. I'm just going to leave it because looks like I should have just pulled straight off, but I'm just going to leave it. I guess I need to take and make sure the orientation of this next. Okay, so the top two are wider. So there is a pattern here. It's not just blindly doing it. I'm not sure what the pattern is. These pins are bent as well, so I will just have to take and document. Move the screws. I'm going to look at it at this angle here and compare the two. So one's larger than the next. This looks like it should be the right way, so it's got a smaller notch. Yeah, so the bigger notch goes toward this little joystick here. I'm happy with that thought process. Next we need to take and kind of prop the board up. And what I'm going to do is create a bunch of solder bridges until that connector drops. And then I'll have to clean it up. Now, if you had a solder sucker and use a solder sucker, what I'm doing here is just my way of doing things. There. dropped out. Now if we had solder braid, that'd be great to clean up with. But I don't have any solder braid, don't have any solder wick with me. Just have to clean out the holes with some toothpicks. Let's check the other side. Oh yeah, did alright. Now what might be ideal is cleaning it from the other direction, because this will push the solder that way, and what we're doing is putting the connector from the other way. So we're working against ourselves here, doing it the way I'm doing it. But I'm going to continue, because why not? Yeah, that's one hole. That's not going to be good. That might have the pin stuck in it. I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that one. All but 2 holes have been cleaned out pretty good. That one's going to be difficult. And then we have a center one here. He's going to be difficult. You can see the solder that I pushed in from the other side. If I took the circuit board off, it would make working with this much easier. So let's do that. I didn't know if I wanted to leave the circuit board in, or just put the connector on, make sure everything's lined up just right. I'll have to rewatch the video that I just did of this and make sure I'm doing the orientation of this correctly. So off camera, I've cleaned up the rest of the stuff as much as possible. And going to take and try seating this as much as possible. There is one hole that won't clean up. Good enough for me. And I'm gonna have to have it just perfect because it won't. Since my solder wick and all that didn't work too well for me, what I'm going to do is just heat up the two areas that I know are problematic and just kind of work with it. One thing I don't want to do is melt any plastic pins. These were $16 a piece. Might help if I had some little bit of solder. A little bit of solder goes a long way. Okay, so that's in for now. That's tacked. This may prove a little bit more difficult than I really suspected it would be. May have to take in do a couple tricks here. Got a huge ground plane, and it's conducting all of the heat. That's what's it, soldering iron. I may have to crank up the soldering iron just a hair, just so I can compete with the temp that's being taken from me. I got it up to 450 now. I'm gonna let it heat up. I think it's up temperature now. Got a big old blob of solder. It's not really how you want to do it, but it's not much I have a choice right now. I mean, they are soldered. Let's see if it's pretty rigid. I'm gonna let it cool down for a minute. And I'm gonna get some rubbing alcohol and clean that. What you didn't get to see is I took and used a pair of tweezers so I can just hold the board instead of holding it with my fingers, and made another solder blob until it just came up this way. And now the connector is fully on the board. I can hold this one because it's not hot. It's a little warm, but it's not hot. Now the connector is fully on the board. And now I have to take and get the solder bridge off of that one. So usually what I'll do is I'm just going to heat this up from the bottom. And they should kind of just like drip off. That's the theory. Now we might need a solder sucker. And while working with this, I noticed the HDMI connector. You can leave that in here. Got a little bit of corrosion going on there. So we'll have to clean that up. They really just did a good fair number of job here. Just, man. Bent this, dented that. Just had corrosion there. I'm going to have to fix this off so it's not a blob anymore. Technique you don't need to try at home. It's called the drop trick. You heat up the joint and you dropped it. Yeah. Try holding the plastic connector. So I got a lot more solder off of it. Repeat, rinse, and do again. Just gotta heat up all the joints and just drop it, basically. Well, since we live in the world that we do, and I can't get any rubbing alcohol, you have to just do what you need to do. Get the closest that you can get for alcohol, and see what happens. Take and blow this off. I mean, it didn't do a fantastic job by any means, but it cleaned it up some. I'm going to sit there and pick it off the rest of it with just a little small toothpick. And we're going to try cleaning this up at the top here as well while we have this out. Yeah, I'm basically using the table as a canvas because I don't know if you can see or not, but basically using the table as a canvas because I'm dipping the alcohol right there. Because the lid's not big enough for what I need it to be. I'm just going to go gently with this down here at this HDMI connector. He didn't really say there was a problem with that, but I'm not sure what they did and didn't know about any issues prior. As long as I don't have any solder bridges underneath the connector here, we'll be pretty good to go. I don't see none. I'm going to clean this up some more. Like I said, any means necessary. Good old Captain Morgan here. Not to say that I drank this, but I needed to do the job. And it's pretty much just straight alcohol. I mean, bleh. Anyway, it cleaned up that contact pretty good up here in the HDMI. I'm really happy with it. Kids, do not drink at home. And that cleaned up nice too. Now to reassemble this. We pretty much fixed two problems that we did not know that we had. Well, one problem that we didn't know we had. We knew we had the other one. That was pretty evident. And that's pretty much how you change out that connector. You gotta have the proper tool. Gotta have patience. Yeah, that's gonna be... That's a huge ground plane. It sucked up a lot of the heat, so your average $5 soldering iron from Walmart is not going to cut that. It's not. So this is what we had before. It's all bent and the pan was busted. And now this is what we have now. We got to take and put the rest of this back in. I did end up being able to take this connector and pull it straight out. And I believe it'll just snap right back in too. And it did. And then we have this little other cable here. It's a little small dinky guy. Basically all you're going to have to do is just line up the pins to the socket and just kind of sway them in just gently. Just like that. And then we have the last connector. And then we just put them back in this little hole. 2 screws. And we're done. Now, I can't really tell you how 100% certain that this is working. I will verify it. I won't upload the video if it does not work. This is not my area to test or anything like that. But there's Shabees. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in, power it up. I didn't realize this goes to here and it does this. I'm going to plug it up, power it up here, and then if my little light comes on, and then I'll take it to the TV and plug it in from there. As long as I don't have any smoke coming out this way, it should be good to go. Now it's just lining this up. Ooh, don't want to drop that. Alright. Let's tip you back up, brother. Plug you in. And I have a power light, so that's good. Now let's go connect it to TV. We're now looking at me looking at the TV. That's so weird. Cool. She works. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Sorry it was 35 minutes long. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. We'll see you next time.